Richard Southern is here to chat about the day's interesting stories. And as the saying goes, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, except for this particular mystery, Richard.
This is wild. It's been going on a few days now, Eric. It's a UFO story. And, you know, I got to talk about all the UFO stories, even though I drive you crazy. I know that, Erica. But this is an interesting one. Las Vegas, April 30th. Police that were out on an unrelated call, they captured a strange object falling to the ground. It was like a blue object. They caught it on their the camera they had on their chest. And then a few minutes later, Vegas 911 got this call from a homeowner. Take a look.
There's like an 8-foot person beside it, and another one's inside, and it has big eyes and looking at us. I swear to God, this is not a joke. This is actually we're terrified of it.
So there's.
They look like aliens to us. Big eyes. They have big eyes.
Okay.
Like I can't explain it.
There's an alien or aliens in my backyard was the gist of that call, Erica.
Okay.
Police probably would have said okay too, except they're like, wait, we actually saw something fall. Police arrived. They didn't find anything in the backyard. This mystery, though, has deepened in recent days because Vegas police have installed a high-tech surveillance system on this home for whatever reason. Eric, have you ever seen an alien in real life?
Well, no, I think that would be breaking if I did see an alien in real life, wouldn't I?
You're supposed to say you're looking at one right now. I can take it.
Oh, I missed that setup. Sorry. Apologies, Richard.
It's all good.
You can bet on just about anything these days, including game show hosts.
Pat Sajak, Wheel of Fortune, right? Legendary. Yep. You've watched it. We've all watched it. And Pat Sajak, he's such a good host. He looks great for 76. He's retiring after next season, Erica, which will be his 41st season on the show. And look, the bookies are taking bets on who's going to replace him. Ryan Seacrest is favorite. Do we have enough Ryan Seacrest, don't you think, Erica?
I don't know if he'd be up for that job. He has better options, I think.
Got a lot going on. Yeah. LeVar Burton, who just missed out on Jeopardy, that might be a nice addition. How about Vanna White, who's been turning the letters for 40 years? She's a 3-to-1 shot.
Why
Erica,
not?
Not bad.
She'd be, yeah. Perfect.
100%, why not?
Yeah.
John Michael Higgins, an actor. Maggie Sajak, Pat Sajak's daughter, who has appeared on the show the last few seasons, is on there. Don Lemon, a 20-to-1 shot who got the boots.
Don Lemon. I don't think so.
My vote's for Snoop Dogg. Can you imagine Snoop trying to read all the letters when he's stoned out of his mind?
I'd tune in. Okay, this last story is maybe about an AC/DC song, or maybe not so much, Richard.
Sing it, Erica. I'm on a highway to hell. There's a literal highway to hell in Poland. The town is called HEL, and the bus number is 666. Spooky. It has attracted a lot of tourists and people saying, hey, this is kind of cool. It's also attracted some controversy, so much so that the bus company there is changing the number to 669 after long-standing complaints by religious conservatives in the country who claim the route was, quote, spreading Satanism. Poland is a predominantly Roman Catholic country where the church has a lot of influence. So no more riding the highway to hell, Erica.
It had its moment, and now it's gone. Yeah.
Sure did.
Okay, thanks, Richard. We'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Project Blue Book was the name of the study of unidentified flying objects, or UFOs, by the United States Air Force from March 1952 to December 1969. A document from the U.S. Air Force Office of the Secretary wrote yesterday, since the termination of Project Blue Book, nothing has occurred that would support a resumption of UFO investigations by the Air Force. John Greenwald Jr., creator of the Black Vault, tweeted yesterday, no, this is not a quote from 1996. This was this morning in writing. This is also written on the Air Force website.
Representative James Comer has said there will be oversight of whistleblower David Grush's claims that the government has possessed a UFO crash retrieval program, and Comer said there will be a hearing into the matter, News Nation reports. Congressman Tim Burchett is one of the lawmakers that will lead these oversight hearings, and he had this to say on News Nation.
First of all, how believable do you find this whistleblower, David Grush?
I find him very believable, ma'am. He's a veteran. He served our country. Doesn't mean a lot in Washington, D.C., apparently, but in East Tennessee, it means a whole heck of a lot about people that served their country. He's decorated. I've known him for some while. We've been in contact for a good while. I've talked to so many other people, ma'am, that are risking their careers, literally, or their reputations. Pilots that have chased these craft that we've seen on video that have no heat signature, that defy our laws of physics. I don't know how much more we can have of this.
The House Oversight Chairman Comer has said he would ask you to lead the hearing on this. Any word on what that might happen, when that might happen?
Well, we're just trying to get confirmed folks here, know that they can come in and testify. That's really the only holdup, ma'am. I'm not. Chairman Comer is very kind to me, and the Speaker McCarthy has also agreed that we could have this hearing.
Burchett also said they are going to try to have David Grush at a hearing to testify, but that he has to be careful about speaking on information that is classified.
Well, and that's a very relevant holdup, as we're having this great narrative about
wouldn't want to get indicted under the Espionage Act.
Well, no, yeah, that's an issue, and it's been buried a little bit in our commentary over the last few days, as we grappled with what seemed to be Trump having actually national security concerning documents in his possession. But it is still the case that there is too much classification, that the government works for the American people and should not generally be in the business of hiding relevant information from the American people. We can handle the truth.
Yeah.
We deserve the truth. We are entitled to the truth legally, constitutionally, etc. So he should be absolutely... If he's worried he can be prosecuted, he should be shielded. That should be an agreement that he is shielded from prosecution and can describe whatever classified materials he's seen, or can name the people who do have access to the classified material so that we can question them. No more of this, I can't talk about that, that's state secrets. We want to know what those state secrets are. If there's actually a cover-up, again, which I don't find particularly likely, but if there's actually a cover-up...
He's a believer now.
Since yesterday, certainly not, of non-human crafts and pilots that were recovered, then let's hear it.
Yeah, I mean, so to your point about our entitlement to the truth, I mean, the top of this story is about the fact that this guy, Greenwald, who has been running this kind of UFO website, news site investigating these kinds of things, sent a FOIA request to get more information 2 years ago. And the timing of this is so interesting. The U.S. Air Force finally got back to him, but not with the documents requested in the FOIA request, but a pro forma pat letter that it's basically a copy-paste job from 2016, at which point they shut down this Project Blue Book, which was, tracking this kind of information, saying, well, we haven't tracked it since then. Here's the information that you shouldn't have known from back then, and so I'm not fulfilling this request.
It took 2 years to respond to this FOIA request. Right.
So John Greenwald Jr.'s point is that there are all these other organizations, a whole litany of acronyms that they should have been responsive to, that they should have looked into those organizations and fulfilled these kinds of requests, but that they basically have brushed him off here. And the timing of after 2 years sending him this letter in the middle of this national conversation now about extraterrestrial life or UFOs is interesting, and according to some in the UFO community, damning.
Yeah, the lack of transparency is very it is not in itself evidence of anything, because the government is not transparent out of habit, even when there is nothing to keep secret. They keep things secret out of just habit and tradition, and they want to be shielded from accountability just in case there's something. So that cannot be conclusive on its own. However, sometimes they are. They know things that they aren't telling, that they take way too long to tell us. We're having this whole dialogue right now. We had Michael Schellenberger on the show yesterday to make some pretty incendiary claims about information. I was seeing parallels here, information that he has based on conversations he's had with people in the government who claim to effectively know that the lab leak is the origins of COVID, that the first 3 people to get sick were people in the lab, including the person working most closely on gain of function with bat specimens. That's who got sick with COVID first. That all but confirms the lab leak as the beginning. And those 3 people couldn't have, if they'd all gotten it at the wet market, that's like beyond the statistical any possibility. Now, we haven't seen those documents. We haven't seen that report. We didn't interview that person. We're relying on, so it's secondhand. But obviously, I generally trust Michael Schellenberger. I have him on as an expert a lot on the show because I think he's done great journalism. So,
Did you know what else is secondhand? When the Washington Post reports that it talked to someone in the CIA that confirmed that it knew in advance and tried to stop the Nord Stream bombing. So there's a real selective.
Sources say.
Exactly.
Yeah, and there's been so much the mainstream media relies on confidential sources. It's gotten so much worse over time. And the mainstream media, the Washington Post, the New York Times, all of those outlets, they rely on confidential sources in cases where I think it is certainly much less justified. The justification for doing a confidential source is because it's national security and they can be prosecuted and it's illegal for them to share this information. Mainstream people, I mean, they do that too, but they also use confidential sources for someone just in the White House complaining about their boss or how things are going. And well, everyone will do that if you grant them anonymity. Like, an official who works in the White House, but we protected their anonymity so that their job wouldn't be threatened. They say, things are really tough, right? Biden was having a bad day, and or Trump or whoever it is, they're combative and they were growling at people or something. Well, okay, everyone, not me, I'm so happy in my job, but everyone would complain to some degree about their employers, their bosses, their coworkers if you give them total anonymity. And it's just not, it's become standard practice to allow any level of that to appear in journalism, and I'm against it.
He says he's happy, but there has been some complaints about the lack of snacks in the kitchen.
Where are my green M&Ms? Only green M&Ms. You got to pick out all the others. I'm really a tyrant here.
All right, Mariah Carey.
Well, tomorrow on Rising, we don't know what we're talking about because it's not in the screen, but there it is. Jessica Burbank and Amber Athey will be back with you, taking over Rising Fridays. We are also doing, finally, that interview with RFK Jr., and that's going to get posted probably sometime over the weekend. So you'll definitely want to be on the lookout for that. We'll break it up. It'll be over several days.
Be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss it as it's being released, and like the videos and subscribe so you never miss any content, generally speaking. And if you're one of those who prefers to listen while you're on the move, remember we are available anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
You've probably already seen the story that says a UFO crashed in Las Vegas and 10-foot aliens are hanging out in my backyard. It's a story that quickly spread everywhere. If you haven't heard about this story, you're probably living in a cabin in the woods in Montana. Anyways, so let's dive into this stupid story. So on the evening of June 7th, Las Vegas local news channel 8 News Now released a report saying, Las Vegas family claims to see aliens after several report something falling from the sky. The events, as reported, go like this. On April 30th, around 11:50 p.m., a body cam worn by a Las Vegas police officer captures a meteor-looking object acting exactly like a meteor flying in the sky. 40 minutes later, past midnight on May 1st, some kid calls 911 and says a UFO fell from the sky and that 8-foot or maybe 10-foot aliens were hanging out in his backyard.
911 emergency.
There's like an 8-foot person beside it, and another one's inside, and it has big eyes and looking at us, and it's still there.
The police show up, look around, investigate, and find nothing. No crashed UFO, no aliens in the backyard. So where did the aliens go? Did they just run away? If they did run away, where'd their crashed spaceship go? Did they maybe get back inside their crashed spaceship and fly away? And if their crashed spaceship was working fine enough for it to fly away, why didn't the aliens just do that before? Why were they just chilling in this kid's backyard? Were they calling their spaceship insurance company? Anyway, so the police found nothing. No evidence to support any of this. And so that's the end of this story, right? Wrong. The day after this one story from a local news station in Las Vegas, basically every news outlet on planet Earth runs with the story. They just run with it. Aliens in the backyard? Yeah, that makes sense. Let's print it. And it's not like most of these new articles did any additional journalism. They just basically copy-pasted the 8 News Now story. See? According to 8 News Now. Not according to us, according to them. This is a very common tactic in lazy modern journalism, and especially with all the UFO nonsense. We're not saying it, they're saying it. Click here for aliens. Clicks equal ad sales, so click it. Just click it. No one seemed to be doing their own investigating, just copying and pasting a story. Oh, wait, they said they sent an email. Oh. Okay, so let's analyze 5 things. The police video of the object, the official police statements, this circle thing, the 16-year-old kid, and George Knapp. First, this object. Okay, so 40 minutes before the 911 call about the aliens, this object flies through the sky. And if you're sitting there thinking, by golly, that looks just like a magnesium meteorite, that's because it looks exactly like a magnesium meteorite. Different meteorites have different colors depending on what it's made of. Magnesium meteorites burn blue. And if you look at the timestamp on the police video, it matches exactly the time when the American Meteor Society received several reports of a meteor over Utah, Nevada, and parts of California. Oh, wow, that's interesting. Second, the official police statements. From the get-go, the police said their investigation found no evidence to support the claims of crashed UFOs or aliens in the backyard. In a statement to me, the Las Vegas Police Department says, on May 1st, 2023, at approximately 12:29 a.m., LVMPD dispatch received a call about a suspicious situation. Officer conducted a preliminary investigation and closed the event as unfounded. Unfounded means having no foundation or basis in fact. It's a professional way of saying it was all bullshit. And the police determined the case was bullshit 5 weeks before the first news story even broke. Third, the circle thing. 8 News Now claims this circle in the kid's backyard is where the alien UFO crashed.
In the middle of the yard where the object had crashed, then vanished, a circular impression was left in the soil.
This doesn't really look like where a speeding, flaming spaceship crashed. You'd think there'd be more of, I don't know, like a crater, burn marks. But luckily we don't have to trouble ourselves with that silly logic, because if you use Google Earth, you see the same circle was already there at least a year before this UFO story. Skipping through the months on Google Earth shows that it stays there. So if the circle was already there throughout 2022, a UFO obviously didn't make the circle in May 2023. Basically no other media outlet noticed this either. They're just reporting that the circle came from aliens. Fourth, so days later, this 16-year-old kid under the YouTube username Alien Society 51, red flag, uploads a video and says he was the one who saw the aliens in his backyard and made the 911 call. But there's a couple problems with his story. The kid says he was out with his dad working on a car when the UFO crashed. He says both he and his dad saw the aliens together in the backyard. But when the police show up, Dad's in his pajamas and says he didn't see anything, and that it was only the kids that saw something.
Did you see anything land in your backyard, or?
They see like a big, that's what they say. They see like a big something with light.
Contradiction. The kid also says both he and his mom saw the aliens in the backyard. But in the police video, the mom says she didn't see anything.
Did you see it? No?
Contradiction. A month before all this viral news, the kid did a podcast where he says the UFO caused the circle thing to appear in his backyard, and that the circle wasn't there before the UFO. We've already demonstrated that this is factually wrong. Finally, the kid went on TikTok to claim that Netflix wants to make a documentary about his backyard aliens. Oh. Fifth, and finally, the man behind the curtain in all this is George Knapp. Knapp is a long-time UFO and paranormal enthusiast. He's quite the celebrity among UFO believers, appearing at UFO festivals, UFO entertainment conventions, UFO movies, and so on. He's also the main UFO reporter for 8 News Now, the original news source of this whole story. He's the guy who said the crashed UFO created the circle thing.
In the middle of the yard where the object had crashed, then vanished, a circular impression was left in the soil,
which we now know is false. At the Post, I've previously reported lots of Knapp's dubious reporting and claims regarding UFO and paranormal stuff. He's written non-fiction books full of aliens, ghosts, and werewolves, and claimed it was all true, despite no evidence being presented at all. Joe Rogan even asked him about this, and forced Knapp to admit that there was no evidence to prove any of the claims in his books.
because they weren't there with cameras.
Is there any evidence?
Well, no, not really.
And just recently, on his own UFO podcast, Knapp and his UFO sidekick Jeremy Corbell claimed that this was a gigantic spooky triangle UFO thing. Knapp then spent weeks pushing the story about this otherworldly triangle UFO, but then it was revealed it was just military flares. Oh. So to sum all this up, lots of red flags, contradictions, factual inaccuracies, and questionable motives. Simply put, a hoax.
All right, let's get to the next topic, UFOs. Had to shove this one in there just because it's too good and there's so many developments. So let's back up a little bit. As I outlined actually to RFK Jr. when he was like, are you aware of this whistleblower? I was like, brother, who do you think you're talking to here? Yes, we're aware. Dave Grush, the whistleblower, has come forward from the intelligence community alleging that there are multiple alien spacecraft inside the U.S. government possession. Okay, so that interview has already come forward. There's been over an hour long that's been released. I encourage everybody to go and watch it. That's on News Nation. It's on their YouTube channel as well. Many of the allegations in there are absolutely stunning. So the next question is, how are Congress going to handle it? Because part of what Dave Grush is saying is you guys were lied to, is that the Pentagon is quite literally lying to you about all of these existence of the programs, about the developments inside of the building. Well, actually, they've gone ahead and actually been asked about it. So let's put this up there with some really revealing quotes. These are all compiled by Matt Lasla over at Wired, who asked some of these senators. Senator Warner, quote, there's been a lot incoming. Frankly, I just need to find out more information on this. But here was the really interesting quote from Senator Hawley. Quote, I'm not surprised by these latest allegations because it sounds pretty close to what they kind of grudgingly admitted to us in the briefing. It's not good. None of it's good. We want to get to the bottom of this. I think it's disturbing. Senator Gillibrand, also, who has been a real leader on the topic, says, quote, I have no idea. I'm going to do the work and analyze it and figure it out. We need to look at whether there are rogue special access programs that no one is providing oversight for. The goal for me will be having a hearing on that at some point so that we can assess if these special access programs actually exist. So if there are special access programs out there that are somehow outside of the normal chain of command and outside the normal appropriations process, they have to divulge that to Congress. Now, the reason why that is so important is that one of the allegations here that's come forward, Crystal, is that there is actually basically rogue spending and budgeting going on outside of the normal system in order to cover up what Gillibrand is alleging there, which are unique special access programs that the American people have never been notified about, nor do they have any oversight of, including of Congress.
Yeah.
This is kind of gets to maybe why the Pentagon Pentagon can't pass any audits. I'm not saying that this isn't just UFOs, like that's the entirety of it. I'm saying things are designed in such a way such that assessing and auditing and taking an actual note of where the money is going is probably to the benefit of several black programs that are out there. And what really Dave Grush is alleging is that this has been going on for decades, which would fit with a pattern of cover-up of inside of the Pentagon. So that's number one that I wanted to bring everybody. Number two is an equally fascinating piece from Vanity Fair. Let's go and put this up there on the screen. And it gives a little bit of the background. Why did the New York Times, the Washington Post, and Politico not publish the report that was brought forward outlining Dave Grush's allegations? So as they lay out, Ralph Blumenthal spent 45 years on staff at the New York Times. Leslie Kean literally, wrote with Ralph Blumenthal the 2017 story on UFOs that debuted in the New York Times. Why did they turn it down? Well, according to Charlotte Klein, she's a media reporter over there who spoke with some people behind the scenes, the Times straight up decided not to publish this piece, Crystal. They just decided, nope, we're not touching this. They tried to report it, but weren't able to get to the bottom. Okay. The second thing is the Washington Post is denying. They're like, we didn't turn it down. They're like, what it is that we were reporting it out. As in, they had accepted the piece, or not accepted it, but they'd looked at it and they were like, well, we want to hammer this out. We want to ask some more senators and stuff about it. Well, what Leslie Kean and Ralph Blumenthal are saying is that the reason why it ended up here in the debrief is that Politico, the Washington Post, and the Washington Post did not want to allow enough time, or wanted to allow way more time to add more context and facts.
Right.
The issue is that Grush's identity apparently was beginning to leak out in the UFO community, and he was getting contacted by some interesting people who were out there. And so Leslie Kean and Ralph Blumenthal said it was of the utmost importance to get this out as soon as humanly possible because his identity would otherwise leak. They would lose, the scope of the story and the control on the story.
Yeah.
That's ultimately why it ended up over there at the debrief. But it is clear the Times just straight up turned it down, which, look, this could be the scoop of the century, if it all ends up being true. And for some reason, there's clearly a lot of squeamishness that's going on. I'm in contact with people in the UFO community, researchers and others. I know that sounds funny, but these are very serious people, okay? And what they've told me too, Crystal, is behind the scenes, a lot of media outlets, individual reporters, they're interested. But from the top down, they're like, no, you can't cover this. You can't have any real scrutiny of this at all, which, to me, I'm reading this quote from Holly, from Gillibrand and all this. I mean, it seems pretty real.
Yeah.
It seems very real that they're show me one of them that says this guy sounds like a crank. Every single one said, hey, we got to take this real seriously. I mean, they know. They know cranks from non-cranks whenever they have to look at it.
They have a lot of interaction with cranks.
Yeah, including many of their colleagues. Yeah.
Facts.
Yeah.
My guess is that there's so much like decorum and like appearance humping over at the New York Times.
Well said.
That they're just like afraid of looking ridiculous. And so even though they could have reported it out, even though these are serious, credible reporters with a track record who ended up reporting out this piece. So this isn't just like some, crank weirdo who's obsessed with UFOs. Like these are, real, legitimate journalists that the New York Times has experience working with too, by the way. And so that would be my guess, is they just they're afraid of looking ridiculous. They're afraid of stepping outside of the bounds of what you're supposed to think and what you're supposed to say. So they just take a pass.
Yes.
I mean, they didn't even come up with an excuse. The Post and Politico were like, we totally would have done it, but just didn't have the time.
Here's another reason why it's so important. Look, you cannot dismiss some things that are just straight up facts. Friend Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp, they released actually one of the forms of the disclosure of urgent concerns and the complaint of reprisal, actually from Dave Grush, which is signed by him, completely unclassified, and also signed by his lawyer. Let's go ahead and put this, please, guys, up on the screen. This is a screenshot from what Jeremy Corbell released over on the Weaponized podcast. And as you can see here, read the allegations that Dave Grush says here. Mr. Grush previously served as a fully cleared member of the United States government UAP task force. He has direct knowledge that certain IC elements have purposefully and intentionally withheld and concealed UAP-related classified information from the U.S. Congress this. He has direct knowledge that this classified information has been withheld and concealed by the involved IC elements to purposefully and intentionally thwart legitimate congressional oversight of the UAP program. UAP is another way of saying UFO. And he said specifically that in July of 2021, he confidentially provided UAP-related classified information to the Department of Defense Inspector General. This is literally almost over a 2-year process that has been playing out behind the scenes. And we have here his genuine signature by his lawyers that he's testifying before this, and that has been brought forward as part of a whistleblower complaint given to the Inspector General, which was then received and said that they were urgent and they needed to be looked into. I mean, I don't know what else we can really lay out for people. And yet behind the scenes also, what we have seen is the Pentagon is continuing basically to call him a straight up liar. The Pentagon and the UAP task force, Susan Go, who's one of the spokespeople over there, she came out and she was just like, yeah, this is totally untrue. There's no existence of any of these programs. United States Air Force came out with a statement just being like, yeah, look, ever since Project Blue Book and all of that closed the door, there's no reason that we should even be looking into this. I mean, the cover up is happening in plain sight. The only hope we have are these congressional representatives and whether they're actually going to get to the bottom of it. But I mean, really what we're looking at here is a vast conspiracy of people who have been covering this up now for decades, special access programs, or Grush is straight up psychotic. All these other people that have come forward to Michael Schellenberger and all of that, look, yeah, maybe they're just stone cold crazy. It's very possible. It's certainly possible, but watch the interview. You know, maybe. Look, I've seen hucksters out there before, but this many people, this level of seriousness, the testimony to his character and all of that, the fact that he was vetted by Jeremy Corbell, by Leslie Keane, by Ralph Blumen, these are all people who've met a lot of crazy people out there, before, and they don't just bring these things forward without any recourse. I believe him. I believe him whenever he talks.
So what do you say to, like in Vanity Fair, they were like, okay, you have a track record of a credible person, you have other people who are corroborating your claims, but where's the evidence? Where's the photo? Where's the material? Right. Where's the something? Because I do think it's reasonable for people to say, like, okay, this is an unbelievable, it's a literally unbelievable claim. And so in order for us to take this seriously, you're gonna have to give us a little something more than just some chitty chat.
Well, guess what? It's classified. I don't think everybody keeps forgetting that. He has to come forward through the official whistleblower process. He can't just leak classified information. They're going to lock him up. They're going to throw him in jail. Right. So he can't, first of all, he even said, I never saw anything. I just saw the existence of the program. That's not what he's alleging. What he's alleging is, I know that these programs exist. I'm not saying I saw it. He's never claimed to be some sort of eyewitness. He said, I've, seen people who would testify the forward. Okay, so we need those names and we need to get them under oath and bring them before Congress. But what he has claimed, first, I'm glad that you brought that up. He has to deal with the U.S. government and their classification regime. If he leaks something like that, it's the easiest pretext in the world to throw him in jail literally for the rest of his life. Look at Edward Snowden or Julian Assange about what's happening to them. Would you have confidence about bringing that forward? No.
Yeah.
You absolutely can't. So,
although they could even go after him just for what he's already revealed.
Well, from what I've understood, it's not like they're making his life all that easy right now. So look, let's just keep all of this in mind, as we move forward and as we continue to ask our congressional representatives to actually take up the mantle and, maybe try and get to the bottom of this.
It was the streak seen across the sky, now seen around the world. This, as our 8 News Now investigators confirm Metro actually set up cameras at this home where a family called 911 claiming to see aliens in their backyard. And tonight, a fierce debate is underway about the legitimacy of an alleged UFO crash. Good evening, I'm Janice Valdez.
And I'm Brian Loftus. Our 8 News Now investigators reporting about terrified members of a local family who told police they had aliens in their backyard. Chief Investigator George Knapp here to piece it all together.
As with all things UFO, the public debate is ferocious and ongoing. Was it all a hoax? Were we duped? Was it all an evil plot, a cover-up, all of the above? We took another look at the hubbub to separate wheat from chaff. The fireball captured on a police body cam on the night of April 30th was real. The American Meteor Society says witnesses reported seeing it all across the West, from northeastern Utah to Southern California. Another Las Vegas resident sent us a video of the same object recorded on her home camera.
Investigation by Nexstar station KLAS.
As the story of the Las Vegas incident spread across newscasts and social media, one of NASA's planetary defense officers weighed in to say it was likely a small meteor that fell to Earth hundreds of miles away from Las Vegas. Police videos obtained by 8 News Now indicate Metro officers were among the witnesses.
One of my partners said they saw something fall out of the sky too, so that's why I'm kind of curious.
The appearance of the meteor seemingly triggered the events that followed. A frightened family called 911 and told police they had 10-foot-tall alien beings in their backyard. Officers responded to the home minutes later, interviewed the witnesses, canvassed the area, and cautiously inspected the backyard to look for intruders. One thing noticed by the officers was a circle in the soil. In conversations with us and in a podcast interview, Angel, the main witness, suggested the circle might have been created when an unknown object landed in the yard. Social media sleuths have since pointed out that the circular image has been viewable via Google Earth for more than a year. The family told us by phone they had seen suspicious vehicles with men in black types checking out their home. Turns out there is substance to that. A retired police officer fessed up on News Nation that he spent days staking out the house to see what, if anything, unfolded. What about those reports that Metro installed a special surveillance camera atop the house, presumably to watch for intruders, human or otherwise, or overzealous media? Turns out that's true as well. Metro confirmed as much in a statement to 8 News Now's David Charnes. The system stayed on the roof for days. What about the Ring camera video with the weird noise? The main witness, Angel, intimated to us the video was recorded by one of his neighbors, and the audio was from the April 30th UFO crash. It wasn't. The security camera video was recorded in mid-April, according to the man who first posted the clip. He doesn't want his name used, but says the recording was from a fireball that passed over his home in the southwestern part of the valley 2 weeks prior to the alleged alien encounter. The family declined to be interviewed by us, but members have spoken elsewhere and stick to their claims of seeing aliens in the backyard. Dozens of people on social media have analyzed and dissected the images with various claims of aliens spotted in the shadows. Police do not believe this was a hoax call, which could be a crime if done intentionally. In the fervid swamp known as UFO world, our coverage of the story was itself seen as a dastardly plot to distract attention away from a prominent whistleblower named David Grush, who stepped forward around the same time. Grush unveiled his explosive on-camera account on News Nation, which is owned by the parent company of KLAS. In spite of the local news story, Grush's story was reported by news media all over the world. Curses foiled again.
All right. So what do you make of this whistleblower, David Grush?
He first reached out to me about a year ago. We've been in contact ever since. He's the real deal. I mean, he had a distinguished career in the Air Force. Then he went to work for a 3-letter agency you probably haven't heard of, the NGA, which basically tracks everything in space, in the air, in the ocean, under the ocean, on land. They keep tracks of everything. He has the highest security clearances in our government, and in that capacity, he interacted with something like 2,000 SAP, special access programs, and he learned along the way that we're reverse engineering crash flying saucers, and he's been telling that to Congress under oath behind closed doors. And I think they'll probably bring him back. So it's a pretty intriguing story. A lot like what we've been hearing about out in the Nevada desert for a long time.
Right. Of all the stories you've done over decades and decades, this one has really gone worldwide.
The backyard alien?
Yes.
Oh, it's crazy. It's crazy how much email we get, you know. We're not done with it. We'll see where it goes.
Just going to say, this is not the last of that story.
No.
All right, George, thanks for that.
First things first, though, I want to go to our Nancy Liu. She's our correspondent. She's live out in front of the home where that 911 call originated, the home where the report was that there were big green men and a big crash out in front. So, Nancy, you had a chance to actually talk to the family members today. They're so skittish. They don't want to go on camera, but you talked to them. What did they say?
Yeah, they refused an interview request, but I did talk to Angel. He is the teenager you hear in that 911 call. I also spoke with his father. I can tell you they are both skittish, they're anxious, and they're scared. And the family is basically in lockdown inside their house. They've shut down. They claim they're being threatened and by people who, are accusing them of engaging in a elaborate hoax, which they deny. They have stuck by their story that something happened in this backyard, that there were creatures out there. And, in talking with people around here, it wasn't just Angel who saw it. His brothers saw it, and his father also came out and saw it. And I, met Angel. I met his father. They seem like reasonable people. He seems like a nice kid, and it seems like a very nice family here. So,
okay,
there you go.
So that's intriguing. I mean, the plot thickens. Talk to me a little bit about what you're learning about the streak in the sky. It was caught on the police body cam. Perhaps that ring cam also captured something because it sounded like a whizzing, whistling, crashing sound. What are you hearing about it?
Yeah, there seems to be consensus that there was a meteorite that night. But was there something else? Because we're hearing of something streaking from east to west, but also from west to east. And I can tell you that there's an entire community of people around here who do not discount what this family is saying. I spoke with someone today. His name is Ryan Burns. He is a podcaster. He is the founder of Space Wolf Research. He actually headed out yesterday on a boat out to Lake Mead, spent the entire day out there with a source that I also met today. They were searching for anything unusual because there were reports of possibly something being shot down or pieces of a non-human craft falling into Lake Mead, and also suspicious activity out there. But take a listen to this, because he said there's all kinds of credible chatter that warranted further investigation.
Absolutely, the sources that we're getting it from are 100% credible. They are not only former military intelligence in many cases, but still have connections to people that are boots on the ground actually involved with this case. Lake Mead, we are hearing that there was sightings by people around the lake who witnessed what appeared to be a lot of military vehicles that were around the lake looking for something, and posted up for quite some time directly after this event.
And does military activity lend itself to the claims of the Pentagon whistleblower of some kind of covert military activity? Also, the streak in the sky. We spoke to the American Meteor Society, who says the body cam video, that green ball, they're almost certain it was a meteor.
It was a meteor that was larger than normal, probably the size of a basketball up to a beach ball, traveling at tremendous speed. And when it strikes the atmosphere, it starts to vaporize, and that friction causes a very, very bright flash. We're certain it was a meteor because of the duration of the event. Most everybody reported that lasted between 2 and 5 seconds, and that's much too fast to be a re-entering satellite or a rocket. So, and the fact that it was seen over such a wide area is a darn good indication that it was a fireball.
That's 21 reported sightings across 3 states, California, Nevada, Utah. So that fireball seen by a number of people, but only here do we have the claims of seeing non-human creatures. And again, this family is standing by that story, and they're afraid to elaborate anymore.
I want to tell you something. I met with the family extensively on the 27th, and then for a short time on the 19th when I went out there. And their story has been consistent on what they told me. Now, I'm going to say this. This 16-year-old kid, Angel, is getting slammed all over social media, okay? And because the family's Hispanic, they're getting a lot of threats and a lot of comments, And when I see him on my social media reference to this, I completely delete it. It's a disgrace. But as far as what they told me, and the Angel's getting hammered, like I said, on social media, but people have to remember, 3 people saw this. Angel, his brother, I think, is a year younger than him, and his father. Angel called 911. The father got on 911 and said the same thing. I saw the creatures about 15, 20 minutes ago. And like I said, I'm an experienced investigator, full of 40 years investigative experience. And I did everything I could to see if I get Angel upset to the point where you say, you know, this is all made up. But 3 family members saw this. And I want to say something briefly. I know we're short on time here. But when I was out at the residence on the 27th, and they were showing me where these things were, where they believe they saw them, and I was standing against a metal pole that was holding up like a carport. And the father, and I'm just a little over 6 feet, about 6 feet, 6'1". And he said, that pole you're standing next to, it was taller than that pole. Now, I'm about 6'1". I looked up. That pole was about 8.5 feet. And Angel said, yeah, it was even taller than that. Now, they described what they described. And I tell people, I was not there that night. Neither were you. I have nothing to discount what this family said. I mean, it's a nice family. They could have thrown me off the property. They're a very nice family. And, you know, to the point is this, okay? You have 3 people that said they saw a strange creature, and they described it. And people want evidence of that. Well, we don't have any evidence. He on that video that he showed on his YouTube channel, a lot of people are blowing things up. Even the Baltimore Post-Examiner blew up the picture. They were the first ones to show the photo of the impression on May 27th that Angel took that night when he said the police were in the backyard at 1:37. Baltimore Post-Examiner published the photograph. And then when I went back later on, Angel gave me the photograph of the 2 sergeants from the Northwest Area Command of the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, who he said was about midnight on May 6th, who came back and talked to the father, because allegedly what he told me is the cop said the first 2 officers didn't do something right, okay? When I first met the family, it was on May 19th, and it was hard that day because they didn't trust me. That's when you saw that video clip that you just showed where he's talking to the female. He originally told me it was a journalist, and I didn't think it was a journalist, Ashley, because it was a speed dial, and journalists wouldn't pick up the phone. He told me.
He wouldn't tell you who it was,
listen,
right?
Doug,
he didn't tell you who it was on the phone?
Excuse me?
Did he tell you who it was on the phone eventually?
Yes, it was the female detective who came out with the family. There was a male and female after this incident, like days later, who came out and talked to them. After the first 2 officers were out there the morning of May 1st, the 2 patrol, and you all saw the video on that, the body cam video and all that, okay? The mother told me when I was there on May 19th, that after the first 2 officers came up, a couple days later, 2 more cops came. And I believe she's talking about the LVMPD sergeants that I posted the picture on.
Okay,
from the LVMPD.
let me get to that, because I only have about 30 seconds left, but I need you to tell me about the photograph you took of what looked like cameras installed on the roof of the home, and those came, what, 2 weeks after the incident, and then suddenly were gone a few days later. Is that the right story? And again, I'm a bit tight for time.
They were installed on May 19th in a lamppost in the rear yard of the family's home. They were installed by the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, Homeland Security Division, that's run by Assistant Sheriff Sasha Larkin. The cameras were there when I saw them on May 19th, and they were pulled out 3 days before May 27th when I went back. And I have that confirmed from the family, and my police sources said those were definitely installed by the technical and surveillance squad that works for Homeland Security under the direction of Assistant Sheriff Sasha Larkin, and they pulled them. Now, I want to say something real quick. I know we're short on time here, okay? They pull those around 3 days before May 27th. That was the second podcast that I aired when I exposed those cameras, okay? Now, there's talk. The parents, I said, why did they put them in there? They said, they came to the house and said, we got permission from the owner. We want to put this on your property. Can we? It's for your protection in case people come. But you got to remember something, okay? This thing didn't go viral to June 7th. The cameras were uninstalled 3 days prior to May 27th.
Well, that's odd, Doug, because obviously if it goes viral, then I can understand harassment cameras. But before most people even knew about this family or this young man, I wouldn't imagine that no other harassment complaints get cameras like that. Doug, I have to cut it there, but the conversation's not over. I hope you'll come back.
Yes, because there's a lot more. One thing real quick. Don't discount that Ring camera. That what was not in the neighborhood of the house. That was somewhere else on another part of town. That's also being across social media.
Okay.
And I cannot verify that where that location was. It definitely wasn't across the street from the home.
Okay, so it was another neighborhood, and we're still on verification and fact-checking on that.
That's right. I have no idea where that was. It could have been on the other side of Vegas.
He's continuing to investigate this. He's been on it since the beginning. Doug Papa, thank you for being on with us tonight.
The Las Vegas UFO mystery just got more interesting, with officials adding security cameras to private property. We also have more ring cam footage you'll have to see to believe, a possible explanation as to why the videos are so blurry, and an update from the family. Ring cam footage from neighbor 1. Ring cam footage from another neighbor. And probably the creepiest ring cam footage I've ever seen that matches the description of what the family saw. I also found someone on TikTok analyzing the footage and actually showcasing some of the creatures you guys mentioned in the comments. Check this out.
To find the aliens in front of these guys, but I noticed something insane, and I want everybody, my 2 friends who will watch this, to take a look down, pay attention to 2 areas. We're going to look down here on the bottom right behind their fence and right up there, but we're going to first start down here because I found something crazy.
Spots I wasn't even focused on holding more mysteries.
This video, and I'm going to point out 2 things you need to pay attention to right here, which is the head, and if you look really close, and what you will see in about a minute is a hand. That I believe is some creature, non-human, crouching down, and that was its eye I just pointed at. And I want you to pay attention to what appear to be fingers running up the fence, as if it's kneeling down or something and peering out. And then there you go, see the fingers? And I think I go back and forth a couple times here, but it looks to me like there's a little other or a big creature looking through the fence on the bottom there, crouched down. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but you tell me. And then there's his fingers going right up and down, up and down. Just looks like almost a human hand crawling up the fence. And at the very beginning, you see an eye. And I think right here, I show you the fingers. This is my really poor attempt at drawing over the fingers, but you get it. So what's really interesting about this is it is happening next to them and kind of in front of them, but behind a fence. Yeah, the fingers are really crazy. So I think I'm going to show it one more time, and then I zoom out, and I'll show you what even made me realize this was here. So, okay, so see how many different times I was looking. So what I noticed was if you look at the top right, look at the top right now, there's actually a shadow figure. It almost looks like it's a dense, shadowy figure comes into frame. If you're looking right, at the 3 fence posts,
while this TikToker showcases a being more to the left.
Guys, and they're not human. They're 100% they're not human. 8-foot person beside it, and another one's inside, and it has big eyes and looking at us, and it's still there.
Okay, where is this on your property?
In my backyard. Big eyes. They have big eyes,
Okay.
like I can explain it, and big mouth. They're tiny eyes, and they're not human. They're 100% they're not human.
Now this is likely why all videos come out so blurry.
The brothers looked into the yard where the object landed. That spot was obscured and blurry, as if by unknown form of camouflage. What they saw next prompted a frantic call to 911. 8 News Now investigators have spoken with family members multiple times in the past 4 weeks, but each of the 3 times we accepted their invitation to do an interview, they didn't answer the door or their phone.
Now we actually have an update from the family themselves coming up in a moment in this video.
In an initial police report we obtained, Angel says they heard the patter of multiple feet in the yard. They later heard footsteps on their roof. They saw one of the 8-foot-tall creatures climb behind the controls of a large front loader stored in the yard as if trying to engage it. He got a good look at one of the creatures, he said, a greenish-grayish being with large eyes and long legs. He says he could hear its deep breaths, and when he locked eyes, he was, in essence, frozen in place, couldn't move. In the middle of the yard where the object had crashed, then vanished, a circular impression
Now here's an update from the witness himself.
Today's June 12th. I'm outside my house with my family. You can see people are saying that we disappeared, the news stations. You know, what I learned these couple days, that everything on TV is fake, and especially the news channels. They'll say fake stuff, and it's not true. You know, I already said what I had to say. If you want to believe it, believe it. I don't care no more. I just want to, you guys understand, because of you guys I have depression. I have anxiety attacks. And I just want to be normal again. I don't feel okay, guys. And just move on, guys. Forget about it and just...
Now, to me, it sounds like the family was told not to talk, but I'll let you guys decide. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. For now, I'll leave you with the unedited news coverage.
Like an 8-foot person beside it, and another one's inside, and it has big eyes and looking at us, and it's still there.
Someone calls 911 reporting two large figures in their backyard.
No, I'm still nervous right now.
The 8 News Now investigators obtaining another officer's video as he's sent to the Northwest Valley home.
I have butterflies, bro. Everyone saw a shooting star, then these people say there's aliens in their backyard.
By now, it's more than an hour after that bright light. Officers meeting up with the caller and his family.
What'd you see?
It was like a big creature.
A big creature?
Yeah, like around 10 feet tall.
I'm not going to BS you guys. One of my partners said they saw something fall out of the sky too, so that's why I'm kind of curious. Did you see anything land in your backyard, or?
They see like a big, that's what they say. They see like a big something with light.
What I saw right now, I do believe in it.
Police walk into the backyard to investigate, but Metro blacked out that part of the video because it's considered private property. What's clear, they're taking this call seriously.
Hey, this might sound like a really dumb question, but did you guys see anything fall out of the sky?
Asking others what they saw.
I would normally discount it as nothing. However, seeing as one of my partners said they saw it too, only reason I'm actually investigating it further.
That investigation turning up no concrete answers as of Wednesday. Whatever or whoever fell into that yard, long gone within minutes.
Oh, hey. If those 9-foot beings come back, don't call us, all right? Deal with it yourself. I ain't dealing with that.
So yeah, this is quite weird, Brian was saying as we're watching this story. Now, we've been in contact with the family in that video, and as you heard in that 911 call, they seem very reasonable and honestly quite scared as you heard them in the call. No, they don't seem impaired in any way. And whatever crashed by the time that police got there was gone, but sources say that there's really no dispute. Something was in their yard. Exactly what? We do not know.
I mean, it's so interesting. So, like, the Metro officer sees something, the neighbor sees something. I mean, so what could it be?
Well, we know that there are obviously a lot of military bases around this area. George Knapp covers a lot of that stuff for us on the 8 News Now investigators. We're showing you drone video from above that area. And we know, of course, Creech not far away, Nellis Air Force Base not far. I checked in with them. They say they are not involved at all, and we are waiting to hear from the Pentagon as well.
And you talked to these people. It seemed completely legitimate to you. And do you have any personal thoughts on maybe what it was?
Right. So it seems from talking to our sources that something happened. There was obviously some flash in the sky. A lot of people saw it that night on the night of April 30th, early in the morning on May 1st. Did that exact thing land in their yard? I don't know. But these people said they saw some SUV circling the area. Could this have been some piece of equipment that malfunctioned? Maybe they saw something and then someone came. I can't believe we're talking about this.
Right.
Someone came and retrieved it from the backyard in the SUV. We don't know. This all comes as a former high-level intelligence officer, a veteran, was on News Nation talking about how there is a program where the government collects some unidentified objects. So this might be that. We just don't know. We're going to work to find out, though.
And
Brian
no substances. They were looking with clear eyes.
Very interesting.
Not big buggy eyes, though.